Hi, everybody. My name is Carlos Gutierrez. I'm co-director of Cinema Tropical, and we want to welcome you to this very special conversation, which is part of our series Mexico on the Hudson, celebrating the legacy and the vibrancy of the Mexican community in New York City through cinema. And we have some very special guests that will be talking about a very wonderful film that just opened in theaters on Friday. And I want to introduce you all to our wonderful moderator, who's the director of the Center for Mexican Studies at CUNY. Please welcome Jose Guerra Lopez. Jose?
Thank you, Carlos. And yes, we're very excited to have this last in the series, right, Carlos? So we're gonna have a wonderful conversation. So I invite Heidi, Iván, Gerardo, and Christian to turn on their cameras so we can start our conversation. And as they're unmuting and turning on their cameras, I just wanna thank you. I'm very excited to have this conversation with you guys. And I was, as we were preparing to have this panel, I was telling them that I just saw the movie this weekend, and even though I knew the theme of the story, and I really wanted to approach it with fresh eyes, so I went and saw this incredible movie that I'm not going to give any spoilers because you have to watch it. And I just want to say that it was so, I was very moved by this beautiful story that touches on many different themes. Of course, love, friendship, immigration, starting over, resilience, homophobia, traditions, longing, family, and also the gay experience in Mexico in the 90s. So as we are, we're going to have this conversation, and Heidi, I think, and I told her before we went on live, that she did an incredible job weaving these stories, the story of Iván and Gerardo, and taking us through all of the stages of their life and also their relationship. So before we jump into the process of the making of, I carry you with me, Heidi. Can you share with us, how did you all meet, and describe the moment that you heard that Iván and Gerardo's story for the first time?
Well, Iván, Gerardo, and I met in a little wine bar called Chicala around 2004 or 5. We're not exactly sure. A long time ago. They were working down the road at Barrio Chino. I think Iván was the chef and Gerardo was working at the bar. And we met one night. There was salsa, there was wine, there was fun, there was conversation, and we became friends. We got along right away, the three of us. And we got to know each other over many years. They were at my wedding, and I was at their birthdays, and friendship. And then my film that I made with Rachel Grady about Detroit, Detropia documentary, opened at Sundance in 2012. And Iván and Gerardo were like, oh, we've always wanted to go to Sundance, and we haven't really been to the mountains in the U.S. And so I said, oh, you should come. We should all go. So we had a wonderful time together at Sundance. They came to support the movie, and we are a part of a big group of friends. And then the last night of Sundance, before the guys left, we were having dinner, and they started telling me their life story. And I had not heard any of the stories that they told me. And most of the stories that they told me are in the film that you saw, or that you will see. I Carry You With Me. And I was extremely moved, touched, and I'd never heard anything like it. And just imagining all of these things that my friends had experienced. I don't know, something awakened in me, and I desperately wanted to share their story somehow with other people.
And Heidi, you're a documentarian, and was it difficult for you to give this leap from going from a documentary to a narrative film?
Every movie is hard to make. I mean, anyone who says it's going to be easy has never made a movie. Like if you could talk to like Terrence Malick or Quentin Tarantino or Catherine Bigelow, and they'll tell you that there's a total fear and terror before any movie. So I just want to say that first. Making movies is scary because there's a high possibility of failure. And so on this one, it was even a higher bar of fear because I'd never made a narrative. But I think at one point, you know, I felt like that's what the movie needed. It's what it deserved. And artists have to rise to the occasion and to meet the material where it needs to go. And that was my job, was to fill in the gaps and fill in the holes, and learn the things I didn't know how to do and ask for help. I brought a co-writer on from Mexico City, Alan Page Arriaga. We brought in Mexican producers. A Mexican-American executive at Sony Worldwide took the project and helped get it financed. I work with an acting a coach about how to direct actors. And I asked for help filling in the gaps that I needed. So I think identifying where you need help is really important. But I've been making films for many years, and I'm a storyteller. And so you have to also have faith in what you've learned and the gifts that you do have, and not just suddenly throw them all away. And so I try to maintain hold of what I'm good at, what I know how to do, and then fill in the other gaps along the way. And I had a great time.
That's great. And Iván and Gerardo, welcome again. I want to ask, can you share with us, what did you think when Heidi told you that you wanted to share your story as a film?
Okay. I mean, when we started talking with Heidi, like she said, was in Sundance 9 years ago, was an amazing conversation, because for many years, Gerardo and I, we were keeping as a secret, you know, because it was very hard to talk about our situation with friends, with bosses. In that time, my boss, Gerardo boss. But with Heidi, we opened our hearts, because for many years we were like, you know, carrying that big team. Mm-hmm. So that conversation for me was amazing. And then when she started thinking about doing this as a documentary, in the beginning we were a little nervous, a little, you know, because our families in Mexico doesn't know about, especially in my situation, they doesn't know about my sexuality, they doesn't know about. In that time, I was living with Gerardo as a partner, you know, as a couple. And many people in New York doesn't know about our status, you know. So it was a little hard, but when Heidi started talking how she's building that project, I was very happy, and I was like, oh my God, I think this is a really good project, because in this country, there is millions of people with the same situation. So that's why I was very happy, because since a couple years ago, I knew it, she's going to do something good, something clear, something special, with many messages about love, about culture, about family, songs, that food, you know, like gastronomy. And I was very, 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 very happy. And now when I see the results, I'm so, I mean, just proud of her and happy with the reaction of the people when they saw the movie.
And Gerardo, for you?
I mean, yeah, exactly like the same, like Iván say, was like in the beginning was a little hard to take the decision, like to share our life, to share completely open and honestly. But yeah, after a couple of years working together in that documentary, and then see the transfer from a documentary to a narrative film, and she was keeping the essence of the story. So we were like, yeah, okay, let's do it. Let's do it. And with the purpose of to share the message, like it's missing in a lot of, in these times, you know, we don't talk too much about this. We know there is like 15 millions of people living in this country without documentation, without documents. And it's time to start sharing that.
Thank you so much for really entrusting your story to Heidi. I think it resonates with so many of us. Not only just the immigrant experience, but your love story and just coming to a new country and reinventing yourself and just the struggles and also the challenges, but also the accomplishments. I think it's great. Thank you again for sharing this story with Heidi and for Heidi to put it in film. And Christian, thank you again for joining us. And I wanted to ask you, what was your reaction when you first read the script, and also what attracted you to this specific to play this part in this specific project?
Hey, hi everybody. Fue desde el casting, fue un proyecto en el cual yo me quise sumar, porque si bien estamos retratando la vida de dos personajes, también estamos dignificando el vida de dos personas reales bajo esta circunstancia que ya conocemos a través de la película. No sé si gustan traducir.
From a casting, I got really involved in the project because it's not only representing the life of these people, but it's also depicting the life of these two men that we see in the big screen.
Si bien los actores nos gusta trabajar con realidades, entonces qué mejor oportunidad al tener este proyecto con esta historia y siendo una historia tan real que trata del amor y del coraje por luchar por lo que uno quiere, por los sueños también. Entonces creo que fue un reto el dignificar este sacrificio también y hacerlo de la mejor manera, siempre con amor y siempre por delante para hacer justicia a esto y también para darle voz a Iván y Gerardo y a muchos latinos que viven en este país bajo estas mismas circunstancias.
Okay, actors, we like to work with reality, so what a better opportunity to work in this case and to to depict love and the fact that and courage and to give voice to Gerardo and Iván and to thousands of other Latino people are in the same situation.
Entonces, para mí fue un honor ser parte de este proyecto justo por el mensaje tan poderoso que tiene y por el coraje que también tiene la película en sí, la esencia que tiene. Entonces, como actor, la verdad es que me siento muy afortunado de hacer un proyecto como este, que tenga estas características y que tenga este mensaje, ¿no?
So for me, it was very attractive because of the powerful message of the film as well as the courage. So I feel very fortunate as an actor to have participated in this role.
Thank you, gracias. And Heidi, can you elaborate a little bit more of the process of deciding to include Iván and Gerardo in the film and not keeping it as a scripted film? I cannot hear you.
El micrófono, Heidi.
Okay, sorry.
There we go.
I call it a scripted movie with a twist because it's all one story. It's the story of these two men told when they're 10 years old, when they're 27 years old, and when they're in their 40s, which is right now. And so really, I just, instead of casting actors or instead of aging the actors that like Christian into an older role, I decided that the material that I'd been filming for many years with them, which was cinema verite, fly on the wall, observational moments, very intimate, there was power to that. And the access was so beautiful and it's so real. And I just felt that to script it and to reenact it and to have it done again by actors, it didn't make any sense because they're right here. This is what's happening right now. So basically the documentary, a lot, it works its way into the third act of the film because I didn't know Iván and Gerardo when they met in Mexico. I wasn't in the bar in Puebla. I wasn't, in their homes as a child. And so it was hard to do because there are no references, there's no comps. It's not something that's been done like this. And so it was very scary, but I also knew in my gut, like, this was the right thing to do, and that audiences also would be, I hoped, even more touched to meet the real guys and to live in their shoes for a few moments. And so it was not even a big, it was a challenge, but the decision was made, and I never went back.
It's great, and I think it was like a very good decision. And Christian, I wanted to ask you about this specific. You mentioned about playing real people, right? Did you do any research about Gerardo, and did you get a chance to meet him before the filming?
Bueno, en realidad los conocimos casi al final del rodaje de la película. Entonces creo que hubo una complicidad desde un principio con Heidi. En lo personal nunca tuve un contacto con Gerardo hasta que llegamos a Nueva York. No sé si gusta.
So I met him actually almost at the end of the shooting. So there was a complicity of sorts with Heidi all along. I met Gerardo almost at the end of the shooting.
Pero creo que ahí estaba una clave muy importante para nosotros porque estábamos retratando una memoria emocional, por así decirlo. Entonces, como actor siempre fue ir descubriendo, ¿no? Pero a mí lo que me motivaba todo el tiempo era esta historia de amor de estos seres en esta complicidad tan poderosa y la manera en cómo poco a poco fueron consiguiendo. Entonces, creo que Heidi encontró esa esencia tanto en Armando y en mí, que en conjunto hacíamos dinamita, ¿no? Porque pues, si bien o mal no somos las mismas personas 10 años atrás, ni 10 años adelante, entonces creo que esa esencia siempre está con nosotros, siempre nos acompaña, entonces creo que Heidi jugó muy a favor con eso. Entonces, cuando conocí a Gerardo, sucedió algo mágico, que dije, oh my God, no sé si fue el guión quien me lo dio, pero había una esencia en mí en cuanto a acciones o palabras o formas de ser con Armando al momento de actuar.
So that was a key element because we played with emotional memory all along. So it was a story of love. There's this in this powerful complexity, and Heidi was able to find this essence in Armando and myself, and that's what basically what we work with. So when I met Gerardo, something magical had happened because of this complicity.
I was very nervous when I met Gerardo, very nervous, and Iván, obviously, because they, for me, after this film, they are my superheroes, my real superheroes, no, for this life.
Thank you, yes. Heidi, and I think Christian just opened this little door for me to ask you about the process of casting. How was it? How was it difficult? You giving the leap again from documentary to film, and you deciding to work with children actors and also casting. Can you share that process? How was it, and how did you come to decide on Christian and also on our other protagonist?
Para mí fue...
Oh, you can start, and well, let me see.
I don't know. Maybe Heidi.
Well, I'm sure we both have something to say about it. I thought it was a stressful process because I was getting all these tapes. You know, I was in New York and I had a casting director in Mexico, and we were looking at all these tapes and scenes, and I just like, you know, at the beginning I was like, oh my God, like I would never have directed it this way. Like it was weird. It was really weird to like see actors who are going to play my friends. So and the casting director was trying to give me like lookalikes, people that, you know, looked like them. And at some point I decided, like, let's, you know, it doesn't have to be so close. Like, I'm looking for an essence. We don't have to be so literal. And then we opened up the casting process more. And I mean, there was just, you know, I wanted authenticity. I make documentaries. I have an ear for dialogue. I know when things sound fake. And to see actors like doing the lines I'd written, but like very like suave and like, you know, oh, no te he visto por aquí antes. I was just like, I was like, oh no. Like, I was like, is it my script or is it like them? Like everybody just needs to like relax with the like. So I was like, oh my God, I'm never gonna find the right actors. I can't. And then I found Armando to play Iván, and he was very subtle and naturalistic. And if anything, he needed to be directed up and not pulled in. And that was a much easier concept for me, was to bring somebody, into more intensity than less. So he's a very, very nuanced actor. I cast him like very soon after I saw his tape. And then we went looking for his Gerardo, and I was looking, couldn't find the right person. And then Christian, when I was in Mexico in pre-production, he did a taping, and there was just something about him that was so charismatic. And I didn't look up anything about the actors until after I had seen them. So I didn't like Google him or Google anybody. I didn't know that Michelle Rodriguez was like a famous comedian that I was casting in a dramatic role. I didn't need to know everybody's resume. I went off the casting director because I wanted to just cast by gut. And so when I met Christian, we had a really candid conversation about the role. And then he and Armando did some improvisation, and it was it. It was great. And once that happened, it was fun. Once I had my Iván and Gerardo, I was like, these guys are going to do it. And then all the other casting, all the other roles was just like so pleasurable and fun, because the pressure had come off of finding my like two protagonists, my two leads. So, and working with children was scary, but I actually, in the end, I was scared of actors and I was scared of kids. And now I'm not scared of kids or actors. So it worked out okay.
That's great. Christian, ¿quieres decir algo? ¿Quieres comentar algo sobre el proceso?
Sí, el proceso fue muy particular en todos los sentidos, porque siempre hubo una curiosidad por conocer tanto Iván y Gerardo durante el proceso previo al rodaje, ¿no? Porque era como buscar un ancla o una guía, pero Heidi todo el tiempo nos decía, no, 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 y no lo hagan. Y ahora entiendo el por qué. Creo que también fue una sorpresa muy grata, pero para mí, al menos para mí, porque era confiar en algo en lo que Heidi ya tenía muy claro. Lo repito, era esta esencia entre ambos, ¿no? Y creo que eso fue lo que encontró en ella, en mí, desde el casting. Después, recuerdo perfecto que fui a México, donde se estaba quedando en su Airbnb. Estuvimos platicando, primero fue una entrevista, una serie de preguntas, unos ejercicios, y después llegó Armando, y ahí fue cuando yo me puse todavía más nervioso, porque yo me quería quedar con el papel, pero siempre el actor está vulnerable, porque siempre quieres dar lo mejor, pero a veces los nervios pueden traicionar, pero acá no, acá fue todo lo contrario. Entonces creo que el proceso fue eso, ir todos de la mano. Fue un proceso también muy generoso en todos los sentidos, que el resultado es no creo que fue un acto de amor, y creo que el resultado está ahí.
Carlos.
For me, the process was very particular in every way, because I was really curious to meet them during the whole process, but Heidi was saying, no, I was looking at that as a guide, but Heidi told us not to do that. So it was a very pleasant surprise for me. And as I had mentioned, she had very clear the essence, and that she found it on me and Armando. So I, at a certain point, I was at the Airbnb where I was staying, and I was practicing, and I really want to keep the role, but sometimes nerves can betray you. And I met that's when I met Armando, and everything flowed. So it was a general process all over. It was ultimately an act of love, and that's what it's portrayed up there.
Thank you. And Iván and Gerardo, do you remember when Heidi told you that it was not going to be a documentary, it was going to be a film, and you were going to play yourselves? How did you take that news?
I mean, she usually don't explain too much. She just, she was very clear with the idea. She was very clear with the, with that moment when changed it from a documentary to a narrative. She explained it to us, but we don't know anything about how is the process for that? And then just Iván and I just with trust on her, on everything, and she say, now we are going to do this in this form because the message and because what we are trying to spread is better. We say, okay. So, and then she say, now I'm going to look for the actors. And was weird, but...
Carlos, a ver si me puedes ayudar para poder expresarme un poquito mejor. Yo creo que para mí fue un poquito mejor, ¿no? O sea, yo creo que estaba un poquito más nervioso con la parte como documental. Cuando ella nos explicó que todo se iba a cambiar a narrative y a una ficción y todo, me sentí un poquito más cómodo porque yo sabía que entonces ya entraban dos personajes, dos actores, en el cual se iba a mostrar mucho el pasado, ¿no? En 3 décadas, ¿no? Iván de niño, Iván de joven, Iván de adulto. Yo creo que eso me hizo sentir muy cómodo y súper contento porque yo sabía que ella lo iba a poder interpretar mejor, lo iba a poder adaptar de una manera más clara. Y yo creo que el resultado está muy, muy, muy claro y súper bonito. Yo estoy de verdad súper contento y satisfecho con todo el resultado de esto.
I think for me, it was a bit better. I was more nervous with the documentary aspect of the project. So when she said that the project would also involve this narrative aspect, I felt much more comfortable because I knew there were going to be actors portraying this 3 decades past, Iván as a child, Iván as a teenager, and Iván as an adult. So I knew Heidi was she was going to be able to adapt it in a more clear way. So for me, it was a great process, and I'm really happy. So I'm very, very happy with the results.
And just to add, you know, all the documentary material was shot before I shot the narrative. So they're not playing themselves in the film. They're just being themselves in the film. I captured moments of joy when they're opening restaurants, of difficulty, for example, when Iván's father is sick, the dilemma, the conversations about to stay or to go. These are just things that were happening that they allowed me to film because we were friends and we have intimacy, and it was like me and a camera person in the room. And so all of that material was already shot when I decided to, when we started to shoot the narrative. I just wanted to make sure it was clear that Iván and Gerardo are not acting as themselves. Yes. They're just being themselves.
I wanted to ask you that because, Heidi, because and not only Iván and Gerardo, but also the actors seem very natural. How much were you a stickler for them to stick to the script for them and give them liberty to interpret and the character?
I was pretty loose. I mean, because I wrote the movie or co-wrote the movie, I was able to change things in rehearsal. I was change things, 2 days before we shot. I was able to change things on the set because it needed to be natural. It needed to be real. And so if things were coming out, the lines were too long, or I would say, how else would you say that? No te está saliendo bien. What is it that? How would you say it? Is there another way you would say it? And then we would talk about it, and sometimes that we would just change it. I always would do an improvisational take at the end. Once I had what I wanted, we would sometimes I went in the scene where Iván is telling Gerardo he's leaving. Iván says, "Come with me, ven conmigo." And Gerardo says, "Allá nos odian, they hate us over there." And for one of the takes, I went over to Christian and I whispered in his ear, the next take, when he asked you if you want to go, do you want to go? Do you want to go to New York? How do you feel about it? Maybe you want to go. He's like, I'm going to go. I said, okay. So the next take we shot, he said, the other actor didn't know, but Christian said, okay, let's go. when are we leaving? And so the expression on the face of the other actor changes. So you're able to surprise the actors by telling one the other. And I did that a lot. And somehow we got these sort of natural reactions because it wasn't in the script. So we would do that after the takes were done. And it was really fun. And a lot of things that we just improvised are in the movie. So it was a real combination of the script and then being looser with the script. And I will definitely do that on my next film. I think sometimes on paper it works, and then you're on the location and it's just like, nobody would say it like that. Why would he say that? It's just like when you're in the moment, you're like, no. So you have to be flexible, and the actors had to be flexible. And I think most of the actors enjoyed it. It was strange. It was not strange, but it could be like, oh, what are we doing now? But once everybody knew that was what we were playing with, Christian would come to the set every day. He'd be like, okay, vamos a jugar. ¿Qué estamos haciendo hoy? Let's play. And it was the right attitude. It was like, I'm in your hands. I'm down. I'm game. And he delivered a beautiful, beautiful performance, a real authentic and touching performance, because I think he was also able to bring all of himself into the character.
Thank you. Carlos, I don't know how are we doing for time? Tell me, because I can keep asking them questions for like that. We're good. We're good.
Yeah.
So Heidi, while you're talking about this, did you how involved were Iván and Gerardo in the writing of the script or the screenplay and casting?
They I got it. I know. It's like I've never used Zoom before. I don't know what the hell's wrong with me today. Okay. We had a lot of tequila this weekend at the opening. That's my excuse. They were not involved in the writing, and they were not involved in the casting, but they were involved in the writing in the sense that I did many interviews with them, had the interviews transcribed, and met their mothers. We did interviews, we filmed. All the stories they told me are in the movie. So they did have part of the writing process, even though they weren't in the script. Sometimes I would get stuck. I would be writing Bar Franco to see where they meet. And sometimes I would go over to one of their restaurants and be like, hey, what are you guys doing? We'd sit and I'd say, okay, tell me one more time, like, where was the club? How did you get there? How far out of town? How old were the guys who went? Did anybody like hold hands in the street? Tell me, what was the music? What music would be playing? And so when I was in Mexico, I said, guys, tell me about the music in the club. And they were like, oh, Moenia. And they started telling me, like, they helped me, like, what was the drag queen singing and so they were absolutely involved in the details. But they didn't like read the script or write the script, but all the details that they gave me are in the movie. So, they were unofficially involved in writing the movie.
Yes. Yeah. And Iván and Gerardo, how was it for you to relive a lot of these moments that were explicitly presented in the film of your childhood, of being also a gay man in Mexico, in Puebla, in a very conservative, traditional town, almost living underground to go to the clubs? How was it to see it on film? Like, see it there? Was it healing? Was it shocking? What was your reaction?
No, yeah, I mean, was very intense. The first time, like when we saw, first of all, Heidi don't like to show a scene by a scene or what she's doing. We saw the film for the first time almost 1 month before the first festival. And we saw the film ready. And that first time was very, very shocking for us. Very, very shocking and very intense, because what we did in conversations for hours with her, she take the essence of that, and she did an amazing job recreating that. Like that happened with my dad when I was like 10 years old, everything. So that first night, for example, I remember Iván, when we finished watching that film for the first time, he just stand up and he was in shock. He went out of the cinema because we were like watching for the first time in like a little cinema with just Heidi, Iván, and I. And then Iván was standing and walking out of the room because he couldn't breathe. And
yeah, I mean, fueron muchas emociones encontradas. Yo creo que el revivir cada parte de nuestro proceso aquí en Nueva York fue un poquito fuerte, pero yo creo que una de las emociones fue muy bonita, ¿no? Porque yo sabía que todo esto lo íbamos a transmitir. Yo sabía que iba a haber muchas personas que se iban a identificar. Carlos, para no hacerlo muy largo.
It was a lot of mixed emotions. Reliving each step of our process in New York was a really strong feeling, but also was a beautiful, because we knew we were going to portray the lives of a lot of people could identify with our own story.
Yeah. Entonces, yo creo que el shock más fuerte fue el trabajo que hizo Heidi, el trabajo que hicieron los actores, cómo lograron esa esencia, ¿no? De lo que nosotros vivimos, porque yo cuando vi la película recordé todo y era todo exactamente como se lo habíamos platicado a Heidi. Y eso me hizo sentir súper bien, porque descubrí que el trabajo de ella como directora fue muy limpio. Fue un trabajo muy profesional en el cual no exageró, no argumentó cosas que no eran para hacerlo más atractivo, para hacerlo más popular o X, ¿no? Ella hizo todo tal y como fue la historia real.
One second. So the biggest shock was actually the work of Heidi and the actors, as they were able to capture the very essence. It was exactly as when we saw the film. It was exactly as we had told her, and that was wonderful. She did such a clean, professional, transparent job, without exaggerating anything, without adding anything to make it more commercial, more attractive. It was pretty much as we had told our story to her.
Great. And Christian, I'm sorry, do you want to add something, Iván? ¿Quieres decir otra cosa, Iván?
Sí, iba a comentar esto, que la emoción y la sensación que sentí al ver por primera vez la película me la sigue dando cada vez que la veo. La hemos visto yo creo que más de 10 veces y cada vez que la veo encuentro algo diferente, ¿no? Y son detalles que me sigue gustando más ahora que se está presentando, que ya ha participado en varios festivales, y ver esa reacción de la gente que se identifica mucho con la historia, que han vivido cosas similares, personas que gracias a este mensaje se han atrevido a salir del closet, ¿no? Con sus familias. Personas que han vivido aquí por muchos años en la misma situación que nosotros, o que nacieron aquí, pero sus papás llevan 20, 30 años en este país y al ver la película lloran porque descubren el sacrificio de sus papás, ¿no? Por darles a ellos una mejor vida y que sus papás no han podido regresar a su país de origen. Todo esto es muy emocionante, ver esa reacción y ver que este proyecto, más allá de una simple película, es un mensaje lleno de mucha emoción y de mucho amor.
So the emotion and feeling that I I had watching the film for the first time is basically the same one that I have every time I watch a film, and I've seen it more than 10 times. And every time I see something different. So I'm also really enjoying the people's reaction to the film. People who have lived stories similar to the one we have lived, or people who have come out of the closet, or people who have also born here and their parents are from overseas, but they see how, you know, all what their parents went through. So more than a film itself, more than a movie, it's an emotional and message full of love.
Thank you. Christian, so I wanted to ask you, so right now in Mexico, it's very different than in the 90s, living as a gay man, and you're too young to understand what we went through going to the bars and not being totally out sometimes in our workplaces or with family. Did you find it difficult to portray this, and also conveying the message of being an immigrant, like somebody in a different country? Was it difficult for you to identify with that, or do you have an experience of starting over, or something that you want to that informed your character?
Yeah. Voy a contar algo que me sucedió camino a Sundance, que fue donde se presentó la película por primera vez, fue donde yo la vi por primera vez. Yo estaba con Armando en el aeropuerto de la Ciudad de México y de repente se me acercó un señor, pero de una manera contundente, así de pum, tú. Yo dije, no sé, lo conozco, no lo conozco. Y se presentó, soy José Luis, soy el papá de Chelis, no me recuerdo, muy chiquito, pero yo me fui a los Estados Unidos cuando tú eres amigo de Chelis a los 8 años. Y dije, no, pues como que sí me acuerdo. Fue como que, no es que yo haya vivido algo personal, pero si no es que 2, 3 familias en mi círculo, en los entonces, sí, sucedía. Entonces cuando me pasa eso y yo iba camino a ver la película, fue como decir, wow, la palabra migrante y demás, a veces yo como creo que son los que se van y ya no regresan, o no, son los que se van también para luchar por algo. Entonces fue algo muy curioso que a raíz de esto, como que cambió por completo este concepto, fue al contrario, ¿no? Y lo repito, para mí la palabra inmigrante yo los veo como unos superhéroes por todo lo que tienen que dejar atrás, por un sueño, para los suyos, para sí mismos, en este caso con la pareja, con ese cómplice de vida también. Entonces, fue algo muy particular y Armando y yo lo platicamos camino al aeropuerto. Fue así de, qué chistoso esto que acabas. Dije, wow, y vea lo que vamos a ir a presentar. Entonces, creo que la película, creo que como es el cine, va a ser un puente de entendimiento para eso, para dignificar el esfuerzo que viven en este país y en otros, y darles también un aplauso y la verdad es que mi admiración y todo mi respeto.
Gracias.
Mm-hmm.
Perdón, Carlos.
No te preocupes. Espero darle justicia a todas tus palabras. Something interesting happened on my way to Sundance. Sundance, Sundance was the place the film first shown. So I was with Armando at Mexico City's airport on my way to Sundance, and somebody came to me. And he said, "Oh, I'm the father of Chelis, of your friend Chelis, and I left when he was 8 years old. I migrated to the other side. So there were like 2-3 families in my circle that they went through that. So the word migrant, the concept of migrant it's something really strong. And for me, migrants are like superheroes. So that because they have to leave everything behind. So in this case, the film, the man he loves. So Armando and I, we spoke about this incident at the airport, and it added something else to the whole experience. And the film becomes, in this sense, that the film is a bridge to dignify and to dignify and applaud and these people have all my admiration and my deep admiration.
Thank you. Heidi, also the pictures themselves, like the images are beautiful, and the locations. Was it hard for you to find these places that actually conveyed the 90s and that really atmosphere of what they shared with you with their stories?
Yeah, it was, first of all, I wanted to shoot in Puebla because they met in Puebla, and the production at the beginning was trying to get me to shoot Querétaro for Puebla because it was considered a little bit dangerous at that time to shoot in Puebla. There had been some incidents, and I was so upset and disappointed. And you know, I changed producers, and the new producers were like, "We're going to do everything we can to make it so that we can shoot safely in Puebla." And the government of Puebla offered us extra security and helped a lot to bring the movie there. It was very important for me to be shooting on the streets of Puebla. Puebla is very specific looking. It's got a specific history. It's a Catholic, conservative, colonial town. It was very important for me to show Puebla. Also, to find the locations, like the broken down mansion where the bar was supposed to be, the club, the dance club, every location. I was extremely picky about locations. We did months of location scouting in advance when I was doing soft production. I must have seen like 50 locations for the bar Franco where they met. And in the end, we shot in an old dilapidated mansion in Mexico City. And the woman had somebody living there still, and she gave us permission to fix the floors and to make it safe to shoot there. The dance club, or the nightclub they meet in, was an old 1940s pornographic cinema in Puebla that had been shut for many years. We had to find the owner, talk to him and his wife, explain the movie, and they allowed us to go make it into a dance club. And so every location was like a big deal. Like, I was very picky. I wanted it to be exactly right. I had something in my brain that I needed to bring. So, and the amazing cinematographer, Juan Pablo Ramirez, incredible talent, Mexico City based. I'm sure that's not the last you'll hear of him. He's gonna explode, I think, onto the scene. And he was a wonderful partner for me. He's like a character behind the camera, and he is a person with an open heart and a lot of tenderness, and you can feel his tenderness toward the characters through the lens. And so he was the perfect partner to have on the project.
Great, thank you. And also, even though she's not here, I don't remember who mentioned Michelle Rodriguez, the portrayal of Iván's best friend. I think she did an incredible job in just giving this other dimension to almost that a person in any gay man's life, a female friend, an ally, and really her interpretation was really moving. And have you heard any reactions, Iván, from your friend of the portrayal of from Michelle?
Susana.
Una reacción de...
Es Susana.
Sí, Susana.
Susana.
Al
Si
ver
has
la
tenido
película,
una reacción de Susana, ella no ha visto la movie.
no,
no la ha
hasta
visto.
hoy día no ha podido ver la película, pero pasó algo muy bonito con la producción cuando Heidi estaba haciendo las locaciones en México. Presentó a Susana, la real amiga, con Michelle, y creo que tuvieron una química muy bonita. Y Heidi me platica que Susana le contó, ¿no?, la historia, y Heidi estaba impresionada porque fue exactamente como pues Heidi la tenía en el guión. Ella contó su historia delante de toda la producción y todos estaban impresionados porque era totalmente, o sea, 100% similar a lo que yo había contado. Y Heidi cuenta que de repente volteó y todos estaban llorando, ¿no?, porque ella estaba contando su historia y fue bonito, pero...
Ella no la ha visto la movie. She didn't, yeah. She's waiting for in Mexico like to see the movie soon, like next week, I think.
Está muy ansiosa por verla, muy ansiosa.
Okay, Carlos, want to translate, or should I ask Heidi to elaborate?
Let me translate this. She hasn't seen the film, and actually something very nice happened during the shooting, as Heidi introduced Susana and Michelle, and Susana told her version of the story, and it was 100% similar to what the same way I had narrated, and everybody in the crew was crying hearing her part of her version of a story. So she's very anxious to see it.
It was amazing to bring Susana from Chiapas to meet Michelle on the set, the woman who was playing her. And they were just like off chatting and laughing. We were all like looking, they just got connected. It was great. It was cool. And I interviewed Susana. You see her picture at the end of the movie. And at the end of the movie, you see who the real person is and who played them. And I wanted to include her. And we sat down and did the interview, and it was so amazing because like the real drag queen, the real Cucusa, who is Luis Alberti, plays Cucusa Minelli, the drag queen in the movie. That's based on a real person because Iván Herrera told me they would go to the bar and there was this amazing drag queen named Cucusa Minelli Krill, and so I went and found her in Puebla in pre-production years ago, actually before pre-production. And we did an interview with her, and she's getting ready to go on stage, and she told us her version of life and what it was like to be a gay person and a drag queen in the 90s in Puebla. And it was just amazing to meet all the real people. I mean, it's just like, it's a thrill. And it was a thrill, I think, for everyone on the cast to meet the person that they actually were playing. Like Christian got to meet Gerardo's real brother. So, and he came to the set because he lives in Puebla, and he came, and there's pictures of Christian and Paco, and it was so surreal. It was like all the people in Iván Herrera's life that I've known for years. I have the moms that Iván Herrera's mother met the women playing them. We all had pozole at Iván's house, all four of us. So it was just like, we just sat and talked, and they talked about their sons, and like that kind of thing started to happen near the end, this like crossover. And for me, it was like, oh my God, I wish Iván and Gerardo were here right now. Like, this is so wild that like they're all meeting each other. And it just added a layer of emotion to the movie. And I think it made the actors remember, like, this is like, we're doing a real story. Like you're playing this mother, like this is all real, this all happened. And so I think it just also was really fascinating for the actors.
Christian, ¿quieres compartir algo sobre esa experiencia de conocer la familia de Gerardo y de Iván?
Pues imagínate, si estábamos muy ansiosos de conocer a los reales, en este caso Iván y Gerardo, el haber conocido una parte de ellos, a mí me emocionó mucho el haber conocido esa parte, esa pequeña parte de lo que son ellos y lo que estaba en esencia en el guión. Fue muy emotivo para mí, sí, porque si bien o mal pudo haber sido yo el puente en la ficción, el hermano de Gerardo en ese momento, y él para mí también. Entonces fue un momento muy especial para mí y mágico. Aparte fue en Puebla. Y llegó justo cuando estábamos haciendo la secuencia de Cucusa. Entonces fue todo mágico. Fue como una llave más, abrir esa puerta que necesitamos abrir día con día en el rodaje. Entonces fue mágico, muy especial.
Gracias.
No sé, ¿en qué secuencia te referiste que estaban filmando? ¿Cuál secuencia?
Cuando Cucusa canta, estamos en...
So imagine, if we were anxious to meet the real Iván and Gerardo, I was very excited to meet the family members, and particularly the brother of Gerardo. It was a very magical moment. We were shooting this sequence in Puebla when Pupusa is singing, and that was another key to open the wonderful, another key to open the doors of this production of this story.
Great, thank you. Well, we're actually hitting the mark. right now. But before we leave, I want to really thank Iván and Gerardo for sharing your story, for that encounter that you had with Heidi and sharing your story with her, and Heidi for doing such a great job just recreating this story that I am sure this is going to be a film that we're going to be analyzing in different film schools and even in the Mexican Studies Institute, in the sense of it has so many layers of just to analyze, and just not only just to enjoy the story itself as a love story, but all the different aspects that the themes and the topics that you really weave into the story is fabulous. Really, again, thank you. And for those of our viewers that haven't seen the movie, can you tell us where is the movie playing here in New York and in other cities in the States and in Mexico?
Yes, yes, yes. It is not streaming. Don't look for it on Netflix or Amazon, okay? Remember when we used to go to the movies? It's at the movie theater. So right now it's playing in New York and LA. 2 cinemas in New York, 2 in LA. And then this Friday it opens in like 50 more cities. And then July 8th it opens in like 100 more cities. So it's gonna come to your local art house. I really recommend you see it on the big screen with friends or strangers. And so just look at icarryouwithmemovie.com. It's Sony Pictures Classics. So they'll tell you where you can see it, how you can see it, how you can get tickets. And, you know, if you love independent film, if you love unusual stories, we have to go back and support our local art houses. We have to go back or they won't be there anymore. So we're really proud to be, it's not just Fast and Furious that is opened. I Carry You With Me opened, and you should see both of them, see all of them. And yeah, I highly recommend it, and thank you for listening in.
No, thank you. And in Mexico, Heidi, you know?
July 8th, 8 julio, México.
8 de julio en México.
Sí, y varias otras ciudades, sí. Llega en México finalmente.
Perfecto. Gracias, Christian. Gracias, Iván, Gerardo, Heidi.
Gracias a ustedes.
Thank you so much for sharing with us. Carlos, any words?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, special guest, and thank you, Jose, for moderating this wonderful conversation. Hope everybody gets to see this wonderful film.
Yes, and follow us at Cinema Tropical, I Carry You With Me, and CUNY Mexican Studies Institute, CUNY MSI, for more events and just a wonderful conversation. Thank you again. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Ciao.
Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.